So some disappointing news for the New Orleans Saints. We learned that Andrus Peat was not at practice on Monday. We now know why. Ian Rappaport of NFL Media reporting Saints Pro Bowl guard Andrus Peat, who is sidelined with what was termed a hand injury, has a broken thumb. His timetable for return is unclear. Some of it will depend on if he needs surgery to repair it, but Peat hasn't been ruled out for the opener. So the end of that was sort of the key part, because a short time later, Jay Glazer tweeted that it was good news on Andrus Peat's injured thumb or broken thumb, that they do expect him back within 2 weeks. So Peat, broken thumb, out for a couple of weeks. That means he'll be back at the beginning of September on that timeline, which means you'd have about a week or so before the season opener to hopefully get him back into shape, or hopefully he can stay in as good a football shape as you possibly can while you're not, playing football, but still doing football-related things, which you should be able to do with an injured thumb. So Andrus Peat out with that injured thumb. The interesting thing about this is, obviously with Peat out, Nick Easton slid into that spot. And Nick Easton did this last year when Andrus Peat had the broken forearm. Missed multiple weeks with the broken forearm last year, and Easton stepped up and actually played really well, which was encouraging because Nick Easton was the free agent acquisition when Max Unger retired. And you got Easton down from Minnesota thinking he'll be your starting center, and it never really materialized, and it necessitated Eric McCoy being your starting center from jump and playing every game last year at center for New Orleans. But when Peat went down and Easton played, he actually played better than most would have anticipated. But I couldn't help but think with this news how lucky the Saints are. Lucky is probably not the right word, but how important it is now that they've drafted Cesar Ruiz. Because if you didn't have Ruiz there at right guard, Easton would likely be there. I mean, you'd likely have Eric McCoy at center, Nick Easton at right guard, and Andrus Peat at left guard. So with Peat out, you'd be vacant at that guard spot. And your options would either be Will Clapp, Cam Tom, or Patrick Omameh. That would basically be your options there. And look, as an LSU guy, everyone's pulling for Will Clapp. There's no question. And I hope he makes the team and does great. And look, Cam Tom is a Baton Rouge kid who went to Catholic High and went to Southern Miss. And, they've been really high on him. But he had an injury last year that sort of derailed him, and his career hasn't really gotten off the ground. And then Omameh is sort of that veteran guy hanging around, but I don't think anyone expects him to be a star player. So the fact that you've got Cesar Ruiz right there is a major boost already, regardless of if he's playing center or guard. And Sean Payton said he's going to cross-train there. And you expect to have Andrus Peat back, but Peat at times in his career has been injury-prone. So this is a somewhat of an insurance policy anyway there as well for Andrus Peat. One other quick note. This is from the NFL Transaction Wire. The Saints are working out 5 free agents. So they worked out 5 free agents after Monday's practice. They do not practice Tuesday. They'll be back on the field Wednesday, and they'll have 6 straight days of work. But they're off today, Tuesday. Of the 5 free agents, most notable is Jack Lampman, if you remember him. Lampman was an undrafted free agent who signed with the Saints in 2016 out of Ferris State. Started the season on the practice squad, was released, and then the Bucs picked him up, and he hung around Tampa Bay for a couple of years. They're also trying out a whole bunch of tight ends. A.J. Derby, initially a 6th-round pick of the Patriots, who spent some time with New Orleans in the preseason in 2019. 3 other tryout players, all tight ends. Ethan Wolf, Donnie Ernsberger. I have no idea who Donnie Ernsberger is. Sounds way too much like a New Kids on the Block member. And then Ryan O'Malley. Those 3 have played a combined 4 regular season games. Bottom line is, right now, Saints without Josh Hill for much of training camp due to what's being designated as an unspecified injury, and you had 2 tight ends opt out because of COVID, you basically have Jared Cook, Adam Troutman, and Tommy Stevens, who's a converted quarterback. So I don't think any of these guys are going to make the team or even a challenge to make the practice squad, But you need bodies right now at that position. And so that's why they're working out a herd of these guys to see who can come in and give them reps right now, meaningful reps during camp and be a training camp body. So that's where the Saints are right now with workouts and with Andrus Peat as well. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.